A new insurance company will soon be established to succeed the British American Insurance Company. This was disclosed by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at a press conference on Tuesday as he sought to bring the public up to date on the British American matter. Ashicia Sam was at that press conference and brings us a report.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, held a press conference on Tuesday, 21st July, to bring the public up to date on his recent visit to Venezuela and the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank Monetary Council meeting, along with other issues within his government. At this press conference, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves disclosed that governments of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union have accepted a proposal from strategic investor to establish a new entity to succeed British American Insurance Company.
In November 2009, the Currency Union governments announced a strategy to address the collapse of British American Insurance Company within the Eastern Caribbean. Following this, we provided further information about the acceptance of the proposal for a new entity by a number of the courts within the region. All courts within the Eastern Caribbean have now approved the proposal.
Dr. Gonsalves spoke of some of the achievements to date of the Currency Union governments and judicial managers for British American.
1. The transfer of British American property portfolio. 2. Recognition of the judicial managers or administrator, referred to as the judicial managers in some of the jurisdictions, administrator. The recognition of the judicial managers or administrator in the United States. Thirdly, the launch of the Medical Insurance Support Fund is now imminent. Fourth, the identification of and continuing negotiation with strategic investors for British American. And fifth, the ongoing discussions with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, including an engagement with the new People's Partnership Administration in that country. The property profile. We are pleased to confirm that in May 2010, the judicial managers for the Eastern Caribbean, except for Dominica, completed the transfer of British American's property insurance portfolio to Caribbean Alliance Insurance Company. This meant that those policyholders had the opportunity to take up new insurance coverage on substantially the same terms with the new insurer, with little or no interruption to their cover. In the case of Dominica, the sale of the property insurance portfolio is subject to Caribbean Alliance Insurance Company obtaining registration in that country as an insurer. The United States assets of British American. Previously, we mentioned that the judicial managers had approached the courts in the U.S. seeking recognition of the judicial management proceedings in these countries so that they could protect British Americans' unencumbered assets in the United States, to protect their assets which do not have charges or mortgages on them. On the 14th of May 2010, Mr. Brian Glasgow, the judicial manager of St. Vincent and the Grenadines branch of the judicial manager, which is KPMG, and Brian Glasgow is the senior person across the sub-region who is addressing this matter. He was successful in achieving recognition as judicial manager of the assets that are located in the United States, and Mr. Glasgow is now in the process of obtaining control of those assets. That's a very important step. Such recognition stays all actions against British American and its assets located in the United States, and would therefore allow the judicial managers to conduct certain investigations and facilitate an orderly insolvency proceeding. In other words, to the extent that you have assets which are not encumbered, the judicial proceedings here have stalled any action in the United States against those properties. And it allows the judicial manager, Mr. Brian Glasgow, to be in a position where he would be able to conduct certain investigations and to have orderly insolvency proceedings to see how much of those unencumbered assets we can in fact obtain. Because we have to go hunting for real property, which is in Florida. They used our money to buy them. That's not the only place they use our money to. They use our money to invest in Trinidad and Tobago. So, because remember, CL Financial was the parent company of British American.
He also explains how governments of the Eastern Caribbean will assist the persons who are insured on British American medical insurance policies.
We announced that the governments of the Eastern Caribbean would work together to establish a fund to provide resources to assist, within certain parameters, persons who are insured under British American's medical insurance policies for the payment of their medical insurance. Regrettably, the process of establishing the fund has proved to be more complex than was originally expected, but its establishment is now imminent. We expect to make a further more detailed announcement about what the fund will cover and how it would operate by the end of next month.
The Prime Minister gave an update on where they are on establishing a new insurance company.
The Currency Union governments have, over the past several months, been engaging in ongoing discussions and negotiations with the judicial managers and a strategic investor regarding the proposed establishment of a new insurance company. Please don't ask me who the strategic investor is. We are bound by a confidentiality agreement not to disclose. There are some people who feel that anytime you discuss anything and government is involved, you have to talk about everything. But there are certain business arrangements where you have to govern by certain confidentiality arrangements. In due course, if we complete something with these strategic investor, everybody would know. The intention is that the new company, which would succeed British American, what we can call NewCo, would take on some of the business of British American, such as the traditional life, the annuity, and investment business, which would in many or all cases be on reduced terms to that which policyholders had with British American. Remember, I had said in my Grenada speech that we would not proceed to provide any arrears of interest in the new company. We would not provide interest rate at 8 and 9%, because the interest rate on 8 and 9% were on products which were fundamentally banking products when the rate of interest at the bank is 3%. That is to say, the deposit rate. In addition, the governments of the Currency Union, in keeping with the objective of a regional solution to the crisis, have been liaising with the government of Trinidad and Tobago regarding a contribution to help capitalize the new company in a way that minimizes the losses of policyholders and also ensures that a viable business can be established. Prior to the recent elections in Trinidad and Tobago, our discussions with the then government had been encouraging. As is to be expected, the recent elections in that country have slowed this process, and we have now engaged the new administration, which is considering the matter. We are hopeful that the government of Trinidad and Tobago will be in a position to meet with the representatives of the Currency Union governments shortly. As previously indicated, this process has proven to be an extremely challenging task, and a number of events outside of our control have extended to the length of the process beyond that initially anticipated. Nonetheless, we continue to strive toward the best solution that we can deliver for the stakeholders within the region, given the financial state of British American and the tools and funding at our disposal. The Currency Union governments have committed themselves to putting in $75 million US. And as you are aware too, that 19.5% of that would be what St. Vincent and the Grenadines will have to put in, given the extent of our exposure under the British American liabilities. And if you read our budget, you read our estimates, you will see that we have made a financial provision in this year's estimates to put towards the capitalization of British American a sum which is to be taken from the 85% of our special drawing rights which are available at the International Monetary Fund. And all these things have been put in place.